first, I'd just like to thank AAKP in the effort that they put forth for us patients, really, to be able to come to something like this and have a voice in it. And that's important to us. To start out with, Richard alluded to the hardship that it causes on patients, and that's kind of what I'm giving right now is kind of the patient's voice and different things that's going on with patients, talking about the immunosuppressant bill, and it's keeping patients from living. And I'll give you several examples of that. Myself, I just hit my 3-year mark on my last transplant here. And I do have a little bit of a different attitude than some patients. I knew of this coming up in 36 months, but I knew that I couldn't live on dialysis. And so I told my significant other, yes, it's going to be a problem, but I'd rather deal with that problem at the time that it comes than live like I am now. So I chose the transplant route. Okay, there's dialysis centers out there from the area that I come from that are making patients prove before they'll allow them on their list to show that they can pay for the medications before they'll allow them on their list to be transplanted. And so it's stopping patients from living and having the chance to live before they even get a chance because they can't show that amount of money. And the amount of money that has to be put out for these medications, these immunosuppressants, to live is huge. In my case, I was on dialysis 8.5 years. And you're out of the job market for 8.5 years. Try to go get a job that'll give you the money to live and pay for medications. Nobody wants to even look at you. You've got to prove yourself, and you can't prove yourself. And you have medical issues that could come up. And so the immunosuppressants would take that side of it out, because you could say, I could go to work and I could go to work for a lower amount of money, but I'd still be able to live. 95% of kidney transplants are lost because of medication issues. I was sitting in on a meeting with the transplant organization from the University of Washington, and they were asking some of us patients, how can we get the patients to take their pills? And so we were talking about the things surrounding it, and they were saying, we got patients that can't afford their meds, and so they're splitting them in half, so they last 2 months instead of 1 month because they can't afford them. And so if we can push this immunosuppressant bill in and then push it through, we would take that out of it. I mentor in several dialysis units in the area that I work or live in, and one of the patients that I see on a regular basis, her name's Elizabeth. I won't tell you any more than that, but her name's Elizabeth, and she had a transplant about 14 years ago, and she had a disorder that causes her blood to clot, and so her transplant made it 1 day. And so she's automatically in fear of having a transplant. And then when she goes to a transplant center and hears about that her meds are going to stop in 3 years if she can't afford them, she's like, I have too many fears to do this. And she's crying, telling me, Dale, what do I do? I can't get a transplant because I don't want to lose another one. She lost her brother's transplant the first time. And she's like, what do I do? And I says, you have to move forward because look at the life you're going now. And she's like, but I can't do that. And so this immunosuppressant bill would allow that fear to be taken away from her so that she could see her road to get another transplant. And so the patients that are out there are living in fear because they're afraid they can't have their medications. And a simple bill that would save money that we just learned would help these patients live a life again. Because I'm sure you can talk to many people that have been on dialysis. Dialysis isn't a life. And so, where do we go from here? Anything we got to do to get the Minos bill passed. And so my question is to the two of you, as we come back for a question and answer thing, is what do us patients need to take back to Elizabeth to say to her, this is what we need to do to make sure that this gets passed? And so that's my question. Where do we go and how do we get there to make sure that this happens?